Happy New Year's everyone! And so with the new year we know comes with a lot more cubes. And so before it starts in about 11 hours or so, I figured I would do a quick mains video, and so let's just get started. Alright, so starting off with 2x2, I still use the Diane just because I really love the fast and smooth feeling that it has. And mine surprisingly still hasn't popped on me yet, and I think that's because I used the old plastic version. And so the way to tell is by the color of the screws. And so if your screws are black like mine, then you're using the old plastic, and the new plastic has silver screws. So I'm hoping to someday try the new plastic version and just compare it to this and see if this version does perform a little bit better or just is more resistant to popping. And the YG Yupo does come in at a close second, but it's just a little bit more controllable and a little bit slower, and I just prefer the overall feeling of the Diane a bit more too. And so this is the 50mm version. Alright, so now for 303, this one's a little bit tricky since I have 4 that I really like, but I've managed to break it down into the order in which I would use them. And so that would be the Along GT, Hualong, Chi Thunderclap, and then lastly the Tanglong. And so the top 2 would of course be the Along GT and Hualong, and I really like them both, and they're both pretty equal in performance, but I just love the overall feeling of the Along GT a bit more, and so I decided that this would be my sole 3x3 main. And the Hualong is just a little bit crispier, but both are really fast yet still stable, and none have corner twisted on me yet. And after that would be the Chi Thunderclap and Tanglong. And so after a while of not using the Chi Thunderclap, the lube will just kind of sit on the pieces, and so you do have to do a few warm-up solves to get it worked in again and get it to its full performance potential. And it just takes a little bit of work, but it does flow a lot nicer than the Tanglong, because the Tanglong will frequently catch on me, but I do love the turning and it's really fast and stable. But I just can't really depend on it to get the same flow that I would on these other Hero 3s. And so that's why it would be the last cube that I would use. But again, the order would be the Along GT as my sole main, and then back up to that would be the Hualong, and then the backup to the backup would be the Chi Thunderclap, and then the backup to the backup to the backup would be the Moyu Tanglong. Now 4x4 is a lot easier to decide. I use the Cyclone Boys G4. It just has a really nice combination of the feeling and performance of this 62mm full-size Aosu and comfortable size of the 60mm mini Aosu, and so that's why I use it. It doesn't pop and it's at a really nice speed for me. Now 5x5 is also pretty obvious. I use the Yushin 5x5. It's really smooth and really fast, and even though the outer layers are a little bit too big for me, it performs a lot better than the Huachong and Qingxiao just because it doesn't catch as much and lockups are a lot easier to fix, so of course I would use this as my main. Now 6x6 for me has been a long journey to find the ideal cube for me. I've tried a lot of Shengxiaos with different spring swaps, like Cube for You, V Cube, and Diane, but I found that the best configuration for me was an Aoshi with Shengxiao 5x5 springs. It doesn't pop as frequently with the Shengxiao 5x5 springs in here, and the inner layers are really nice and fast, but the outer layers on mine are just a little bit too slow and sluggish for me. And so that also may be because I haven't been breaking it in, and so it hasn't gotten to its full performance potential. But I just don't really practice 6x6, and I don't really like it because there aren't really any reliable cubes out there. And so that's why I just never really practiced it, but either way, I use the Moyu Aoshi. Now 7x7, there's no question about it. I use the Cubic Moyu Aofu GT. It's just super nice and no doubt the best 7x7 on the market. The inner layers just corner cut really nicely, and so I don't really have to worry about it popping or just locking up on me. And the outer layers, because they're a lot bigger, it's easier to do 3x3 stage, and it feels as if I really am just solving a 3x3. And so Cube, I had a little trouble deciding whether I would use my Chi or my Moyu, so I decided that the Chi would ultimately be my main. Even though it may be a little bit uncontrollable, I can exchange that uncontrollability for comfortability in just turning. The Moyu would just be a little bit more forceful and takes more effort to turn aside, and so the Chi just turns a little bit nicer too. Pyraminx, I use pretty much the same thing, a stickless Chi. It just performs really nicely for my style of turning, just because I'm not super fast with Pyraminx. The clicks are pretty prominent, and so it's really controllable. but while turning, it's really smooth and fairly fast. And the tips don't really easily move, and since I'm really reliant on putting my ring finger on the tips, I just have to be sure that they don't move when I don't want them to, and this Chi just does a really good job at that. Square one is pretty obvious. I use the Chi, and even though this one is technically broken, I cracked a few of the pieces while trying to assemble it, and so I'm hoping to get another black one just to try the low mod on that, because with this one, a few of the pieces do just stick out while I'm solving, and so it is a problem that I have to deal with, but no doubt about it, the Chi is my main, and it's definitely the best square one currently on the market. For OH, I use a mini Oolong. I did used to use a 50mm Zanchi, which was at a more suitable size for me, but since I don't really do OH and I'm pretty bad at it, I figured I would just use a cube that I like, so I decided that I would use the mini Oolong. Now for clock, I of course use the Rubik's brand, but I'm hoping to see how a Lingao turns, because occasionally during solving, these gears don't fully line up to their spots, and so that causes me to not be able to push down these pins or turn any other gears. So I'm hoping to see how Lingao is, but if anything, I'll just keep using this Rubik's brand. Now for Megaminx, I use both the Diane and the YJ Yoo-hoo equally, just because they're both pretty good and bad in their own ways. The Diane is really nice and fast, but the reverse corner cutting is virtually none. It just catches a lot. And the Yoo-hoo, it's a little bit too big for me, even though I really love the feeling a little bit more, and the corner cutting does flow a little bit better. So just depends on whichever one I'm nearer to, I'll use, but both are pretty equal to me. Alright, and that is it for my mains. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and had a great holiday break. I'll see you guys in the new year.